What's up, y'all? On this episode of Something New here in the Teeqlife Basement Bar, we are trying Pendleton's Blended Canadian Whisky. Now, Canadian whiskey with an Oregon twist, and then on top of it, bucking Broncos, Cowboys, no Indians. Just tune into this episode. It's gonna be fun. Canadian whiskey, eh? Got my glass, I got my bottle, and welcome back to another episode here in the Teeqlife Basement Bar of Something New, where we are trying spirits from around the world. And when I say around the world, we're going from, the United States and getting into another country. So we are trying on this episode Pendleton's Blended Canadian Whisky. And just if you haven't caught some of the episodes before, when it's a whiskey, W-H-I-S-K-Y, that means it's outside of the United States. If it is W-H-I-S-K-E-Y, that's the United States. So, little bit of information here from your Uncle Don. Hope you use it. Do with it what you will. But this is Pendleton's Blended Canadian Whisky. Now, what's interesting about this one is it's a Canadian whiskey. It is distilled in Canada, but before they actually bottle this, it's bottled in Oregon. And they use glacier-fed spring water to mix up and then cut it, basically. And the spring water is from Mount Hood, which is, I guess, one of the highest peaks in all of Oregon. I've never been to Oregon. Maybe it'd be kind of cool to go see this process of them adding water. Maybe that just sounds boring as shit. But anyway, let's get on to cracking this open and do a little bit of tasting, friends. Okay, so, I always do this. These are great, but don't pour because then it ends up in your glass and you just wasted some whiskey or tequila or bourbon. See, I was talking, I got carried away. That might have been a pretty good pour. So, we shall see. Now, this is 80 proof. Whiskeys can vary, bourbons can vary, but this is an 80 proof whiskey. Canadian whiskey. Now, Pendleton, it's named after like this famous Pendleton rodeo, in the area. I don't know too much about rodeos. I'm not into bull riding, bullfighting, or anything like that. I don't know. Do people watch that shit? We're in Detroit. We don't watch shit like that. But anyway, I digress. Let's just jump into doing some tasting. Now let's look at the bottle. Bottle is very classic. It's it's a very nice presentation, and then it has if you can't really see it, but it's a bucking bronco. So their logo is a bucking bronco, and I've seen several companies using broncos, using horses, just different things like that. It's on here, but what's really cool, besides it being on the top, being on the front there, they have it embedded in the glass on the bottom. So, kind of a cool touch, it's rigid on the bottom. Just an overall very nice presentation for a bottle. And then they have the tag too. The tag has a cocktail and a little bit of the story. Read about it online. You can do all that shit online. So the color, looking at it, it is it's just a nice deep, amber brown, like a dark straw color, typical for a whiskey. The aroma. So what I like about it from the beginning is there's a lot of whiskeys, there's a lot of bourbons where the alcohol almost permeates your eyes, and I talk about that a lot, where you really catch it with your eyes, they water. It's not a lot of fun. It looks like, you have pink eye at the end of the night if you're just smelling your alcohol too much. But I'm getting that first sip to coat my palate. And upon first sip, it's kind of sweet. It doesn't have a lot of, burn on the finish on the back end of it. It is relatively smooth, I would say. There's a sweetness to it. There's something that I'm picking up right off the initial tasting. So the aroma was sweet. I was getting some, you know, caramels, some burnt sugars, and the taste is kind of following up with that. The taste, I'm getting that caramel. It's almost like a toffee. The only thing, like, I'm not getting a lot of depth, so it's kind of like you get all this at the initial. You get these flavor profile, and it just kind of goes stagnant. It doesn't go anywhere from there. There's a little spice now on the back end. It almost, it reminds me of a Werther's candy. And you know, like, your grandparents or whatever, like, they'd always have those fucking Werthers just laying around, especially during the holidays. It kind of tastes, in a way, if it was burnt. Like a burnt caramel candy or something like that. It's really unique. It's easy to drink. I mean, it really is. It's just quite easy to drink. It's not overpowering. I don't get a lot of flavors, you know, like where it keeps coming at you. It's like, this is what it is. You know, you get like a burnt sugar, you know, a sweetness to it, a caramel, you know, maybe a little bit of a chard from the barrel because it's like a burnt wood, almost to like the sweetness like a burnt marshmallow. So I guess like their flavor profile, what they were going for was cowboys sitting around a fire just burning shit. I don't know, but if that's what they were going for, kind of succeeded. Alright, so as you can see, I finished the glass. It's still the same thing. I'm getting caramel, some toffees, you know, some burnt sugars, you know, a little bit of, not a lot of woodiness whatsoever, which is kind of typical. It kind of reminds me as a lightweight version of another brand. Black Velvet has a toasted caramel. And it reminds me of that. It's just not as sweet. And, oh, shit, look what we got right here. So, this one, the Black Velvet, like, this is nothing but additives. So, this would be, like, a better version of, you know, a Black Velvet. Like, because you're getting kind of the same flavors, but it's toned down. It's a better spirit than what that is, but I would say it's kind of in that family. So if you're not used to drinking whiskey, bourbon, scotches, and stuff like that, and you want to try something different, this is very light, and this might be a good entryway for you. So this is like a gateway drug to whiskey, bourbon, and drinking, getting into that spirit collection. So wrapping up this episode of Something New with Pendleton's Blended Canadian Whisky. It's okay. You know, I can't say that it's Teeqlife Approved. Aww. It's okay. What's cool about it is, you know, they kind of found their niche, you know, with the bucking bronco, the whole cowboy story. They're also sponsors for the Pro Rodeo Cowboy Association and for some bull riding tournament. I don't know. I guess if that's your thing, you can sit back, watch that on ESPN4 at about 1 o'clock in the morning when people are watching that shit. Because that's about when it's on. But, you know, decently enjoyable. I just can't say that it's Teeqlife Approved because it's not overwhelming to me. But I'm going to drink a little bit more because it is pretty light. But make sure that you subscribe to the Teeqlife YouTube channel. Follow us on our social media platforms. If you know of something that needs to be here right where Pendleton is, reach out to us. You can contact us on our website. You can do a ton of stuff on the website. But for right now, I'm going to continue drinking, and we will see you next time. Cheers.